Have you ever found yourself wide awake at night, turning the day's thoughts over and over, as if your mind was wandering through an endless maze of memories and worries? Maybe there are moments when you sense the faint echo of old doubts, quiet but persistent, whispering in the background as you lay in the dark, seeking a little peace. It's a sensation that slips in with the darkness, this odd, private tension between what you want to believe and what you have come to believe through years of repetition, influence, and habit. The silent contest between desire and conviction is like a game played entirely in the shadows of your own mind. It's there when you reflect on your steps, questioning the stories you carry and wondering, perhaps just once, if things could be different, if something simple, almost magical, might open a hidden door in your thinking and show you another way. You are certainly not alone in this restless yearning. Everyone at some point faces a quiet challenge of their own buried beliefs. We inherit so many of these. A handful come from times we barely remember, passed furtively through a gentle word from a parent or a careless remark from a stranger. Some are picked up over a lifetime, accidental gift from teachers, friends, a book devoured on a rainy afternoon. And in these secret hours before sleep, generosity and limits, safety and risk, hope and resignation jockey for position within us, as if some invisible librarian is quietly reshuffling the shelves in a grand library that exists only behind our closed eyes. Sometimes we recognize the titles on the dustiest books. There's never enough. Be careful. The world is dangerous. Change is hard and frightening. Other times, the stories are so deeply woven into the fabric of who we are that we don't even think to question them. It's natural to imagine, then, that there could be an alternative, another version of that grand library, with shelves aligned instead with tales of abundance, certainty, and possibility. What if, just as you prepare for rest, someone or something could gently trade out the well-worn volumes of fear for fresh, beautifully bound books filled with hope and expansion? A mysterious process, almost imperceptible in its subtlety, yet so gentle and inviting that it slips past all resistance. Could the stories you absorb in these moments before drifting off plant new, precious seeds in the fertile soil of your mind, ready to take root as you sink into the deepest stretches of sleep? What would it be like to awaken and find that, somehow, new beliefs have bloomed quietly during the night, as if they were always there? Tonight, as you settle back and let your thoughts drift, you are invited into such a place, a library, not a brick and mortar, but a memory and imagination, a realm where each book is belief, and each belief is malleable, waiting to be exchanged, renewed, and cherished. The keeper of this place wields no authority except gentleness, no magic but the magic of story and repetition. As you follow the gentle current of this tale, you may find echoes of yourself scattered among its corridors, moments of doubt quietly retreating, replaced by feelings of possibility you didn't realize you could possess. Every word you hear plants something new and alive in you, not imposing but softly suggesting, what if? It's not a journey rushed or forced. Change in this story happens softly, as it always does inside the dreaming mind, where logic floats away, replaced by a subtle and sweet sense of trust. This experience is not about convincing or debating, but about quiet transformation, a reshuffling of old pages for new stories that hum with the promise of safety, abundance, and spaciousness. Perhaps there's a reason this tale found its way to you tonight, just as you are at precisely this moment. Perhaps your mind, too, is ready to be cradled by the gentle possibility that what you believe can become what you most deeply desire, and that the act of listening, of simply letting the words drift over you, can be the first and most powerful step. So make yourself comfortable and allow your breathing to soften. The journey ahead is created not only for your mind, but for something quieter inside, the you that dreams not only in sleep but in quiet hope. There is no need to work or strive. Just listen and let yourself glide along the story's flow. Soon, you will meet an ancient library at night, a keeper who moves quietly among lives and dreams, and a procession of stories that ask nothing but to be heard and felt. Every minute you spend here is an invitation to gentle change, a chance to feel your inner world slowly and unerringly transformed. And as the night deepens, you may just discover that while your conscious mind slips away, something deeper within you becomes a magnet, quiet, peaceful, inevitable, drawing to itself all that you most wish for and more. As the night thickens and silence deepens around the ancient library, a new presence glides quietly between the towering stacks. A young woman named Clara, whose footsteps echo softly against the marble floor. Clara's eyes, keen and observant, dart from cover to cover as she searches for something undefined, a longing stitched within the contours of her curiosity. Flickering lantern light caresses the spines of thousands of books that gleam with mysterious titles. Some are inscribed with luminous gold, others faded with age and nearly illegible. A chill runs down her spine as she runs her fingertip along a shelf labeled Hidden Opportunities. At that precise moment, a delicate breeze, cool and unexpected, flutters the pages of a lonely volume resting open on a nearby desk. Almost instinctively, Clara approaches, drawn not by reason but by the pull of possibility. In that rare stillness, she senses a subtle shift in the air. The very atmosphere seems to hum with anticipation, as if the library itself is waiting for her decision. She glances around, half expecting company, but finds only shadows and the faint scent of old parchment. Without entirely knowing why, she sits before the open book. The inked words on its pages are unfamiliar at first, their meanings layered and difficult to grasp, yet their rhythm resonates with something deep inside her chest. Each sentence is like the first faint notes of a lullaby, inviting her thoughts to settle and widen at the same time. As Clara leans in, she isn't startled when a gentle voice drifts across the desk, warm and reassuring. Those who linger long enough among these shelves, says the voice, often discover more than they came searching for. There, seated opposite, is the librarian, an enigmatic figure with eyes reflecting a myriad of stories, neither young nor old, but marked by serene attentiveness. The librarian's posture is relaxed, hands folded gently, as if accustomed to waiting patiently for readers to find their own revelations. Rather than offering explanations, the librarian invites Clara to describe why she has come. "I think I'm looking for change," Clara murmurs, her voice soft but resolute. "Not just new knowledge, but something inside me, something that actually grows and shifts." Nodding thoughtfully, the librarian gestures toward the page, where a single phrase stands out, illuminated as though lit from beneath. Seeds of conviction blossom only where space is made for light. Clara turns this phrase silently in her mind. The words settle into her, sparking a warmth she hadn't expected. Rather than feeling pressed to understand with logic, she lets them sink in naturally, trusting the feeling more than her reasoning. Unfolding a map from beneath a pile of manuscripts, the librarian slides it toward Clara. Unlike any map she's seen, this one contains no clear borders, just rivers of possibility, forests of doubt, islands named for feelings she barely recognizes. Every night, the shelves can be reordered, the librarian explains, yet they rearrange themselves to those willing to see the gaps rather than the rows. Have you noticed which books call to you now, and which ones gather dust? Clara pauses, brow furrowed in reflection. The notion of choosing which beliefs deserve her attention and which can fade grows more tangible. The agency, once invisible, begins to sparkle with promise. With each turn of conversation, the library's magic subtly increases. A distant bell chimes midnight, and the space transforms. The shelves shift, quietly at first, then with greater purpose, as if each had become attuned to Clara's presence. Now, consider how this moment mirrors your waking life, the librarian encourages. When was the last time you let yourself truly wonder what might happen if you cared less for certainty and more for new beginnings? Clara feels a mixture of trepidation and exhilaration, the kind that comes just before making a leap. As she allows the words and experiences to intermingle, a gentle warmth kindles in her chest, a silent, growing knowing that her mind could become soil for different seeds. Through the window, the moonlight brightens, bathing the room in a soft silver glow, whispering of transitions yet to come. Clara stands to leave, clutching no book in her hands, yet she feels lighter, as if she carries something invisible and valuable within. As the librarian's voice lingers in her ear, remember, stories only grow stronger when they are retold in your own words. Clara steps back into cool night, aware that some subtle current has shifted, and the journey toward new beliefs has only just begun. Night gradually deepened, and as Clara wandered further through the labyrinthine corridors of the ancient library, the air grew richer, alive with whispers not of the past, but possibilities yet unspoken. Lamplight flickered across intricate carvings on the walls, patterns that shifted the longer one gazed at them, hinting at hidden stories ready to unfurl. Her steps drew her to a peculiar alcove, shielded by a velvet curtain barely brushing the floor. Parting it gently, Clara found herself in a circular chamber surrounded by mirrors, each reflecting not her face, but a series of delicate, handwritten affirmations floating midair. The script glimmered softly. You are permitted to outgrow your old outline. You are allowed to envision life beyond former boundaries. Inside the sanctuary, a faint but unmistakable pulse could be heard, like a heart beating just beneath the surface of polished wood. Clara's gaze landed on a solitary figure, seated in the gloom, a guest, not the librarian. He appeared unassuming, with spectacles sliding down his nose, entirely absorbed in etching new phrases onto slips of parchment. Clara hesitated at the threshold, but the stranger beckoned her closer, his smile serene yet tinged with mischief. Ever wonder how a single phrase can change the course of a night, he murmured, sliding a slip across the table for her to read. This time the words were weightier. Safety is not found in repetition, but in embracing the unknown. Unlike the comfort of familiar tales, these declarations offered a gentle challenge, one that raised a hair at the back of Clara's neck. She wondered aloud, but what if the new story threatens the security I've always clung to? The man's answer was deliberate, measured. Stories, like doors, swing open only when you find the courage to turn the handle. Try asking, not what am I losing by letting go, but rather, what brilliance am I making room for? As his words settled, Clara pictured a house lined with windows blacked out by old newspapers, windows that could, with a simple gesture, welcome the clean, fresh air of a dawn waiting patiently outside. Now, consider how this sort of encounter ripples into your own waking life. When you stumble upon an unexpectedly generous opportunity, or feel the faint urge to leave behind routines that no longer nourish you, what question echoes most insistently in your mind? Are you pulled back by the comfort of what's always been, or nudged gently forward by the chance to alter something luminous and untested? In these moments, the difference between a life written by inertia and one guided by conscious intention becomes tangible, as if a pen were offered directly into your hand, its ink woven from new hope. Another crucial layer unfolded as Clara leaned closer, watching the stranger organize the slips into curious patterns. Rather than stacking them in neat columns, he arranged them like fragments of mosaic, letting serendipity determine which ideas would rest side by side. Sometimes, he explained, beliefs can only be rewritten when you allow yourself to be surprised, when you surrender to the everyday magic that comes from mixing the unknown into your foundations. At his suggestion, Clara selected a fragment at random and read aloud, her voice wavering with awareness. My worth does not depend on yesterday's successes or failures. Each hour, I could begin anew. In that hushed chamber, time seemed both stretched and irrelevant, the boundaries of before and after melting gently away. Clara's senses sharpened. The musky scent of ancient leather mingled with something sweeter, a promise hidden in the very air she breathed. As a gentle resonance settled within her, she realized that every phrase uttered, every idea embraced, was like a tender seed finding its place in springtime earth. Quiet transformation was unfolding, not through grand declarations, but through subtle permission quietly granted in the sanctuary of her own presence. Leaving the chamber, Clara's pulse mirrored the sure, steady rhythm of change, not abrupt, not forceful, but persistent as moonrise. Deep in her bones she felt it, that magnetic pull towards something kinder and more forgiving than she could have imagined. The night outside pressed soft against the windows, offering questions instead of answers, invitations instead of conclusions, a world remade by the gentle daring to invent new beliefs, one phrase at a time. The library's distant wings beckoned Clara onward, their corridors narrowing to what felt like an endless passage between thresholds, places neither here nor there, with a veil between the inner landscape and outer reality thinned just enough to let ambiguity dance. Shadows shifted with every step, and as Clara's feet moved tentatively along the time-worn tiles, her ears caught the faint cadence of a melody, not the bright sound of strings or familiar comfort of lullaby, but a muted, resonant hum, almost like the pulsing of energy through hidden wires in the walls. Drawn by a pull both curious and inexplicable, she followed the low vibration deeper into the stacks, her heartbeat sinking gradually with the tone's hypnotic rhythm. Rounding a corner, she encountered a sight that demanded notice. A circular table surrounded by empty chairs, each seat carved with distinct symbol: an open palm, a soaring bird, a key, a blooming flower. At the center, a collection of hourglasses of every conceivable size trickled sand at their own pace, the grains refracting light in sporadic, dazzling cascades. As Clara leaned in to observe the closest hourglass, she was startled by the sudden appearance of a figure. Not the librarian, nor the parchment writer from before, but a woman cloaked in velvet, her poised composure quietly arresting. This new arrival, who introduced herself with the name Yolanda, bore an air of calm that seemed to shape the very atmosphere. She did not speak right away. Instead, she placed a finger on the table's surface, drawing circles in the dust, as if stirring up dormant clouds of possibility. Once Yolanda's gaze met Clara's, her eyes twinkled with something close to mischief but tempered by wisdom. Without preamble, she spoke. There's an invisible architecture to each belief, a scaffolding you rarely see. Some beliefs endure because repetition cements them. Others crumble at the softest whisper of a new perspective. Her words wove an invisible latticework around the space, inviting Clara to venture further than before. Guided by Yolanda's suggestion, Clara dared to inspect the hourglasses. Each vessel, Yolanda explained, belonged to a different patron of the library. Some running fast, others agonizingly slow, all reflecting the pace at which change seeps into a person's consciousness. Sometimes, Yolanda said, her voice mellow, the problem isn't the content of your beliefs, but the tempo at which you allow yourself to accept or release them. The beauty of this realization struck Clara with its subtlety. Rather than judging the nature of her convictions, she began to question her willingness to shift at her own pace, to relinquish urgency and welcome patience into the process of transformation. Consequently, the conversation took on a more philosophical air. Yolanda challenged Clara. Have you ever marveled at how some deeply held notions fall away in a single instant? The way ice cracks with sudden thaw, while others thaw slowly, almost imperceptibly, over a lifetime? She urged Clara to hold her beliefs lightly, as one would cradle a songbird in the palm. Firm enough to offer safety, gentle enough to permit flight. These hourglasses became metaphors for flexibility within conviction. Sometimes it was wise to grant oneself grace, to wait for clarity instead of demanding immediate shift. Now, consider how this applies when you find yourself clinging to outdated assurances, not out of trust, but out of habit woven thick by the rhythm of endless repetition. There's a quiet defiance in letting beliefs ebb naturally, without wrenching yourself away in dramatic revolt. In this way, time itself can be an ally. When you stop resisting the current, you notice how sand trickles through your personal hourglass, bearing away what's too heavy to sustain while making room for what's newly earned. Subsequently, Yolanda led Clara to participate in a quiet ritual. The act of flipping an hourglass, symbolically choosing to begin the slow flow of change. The gesture was small, even simple, but its meaning resonated profoundly. Each turn was an act of agency, each moment of waiting a testament to trust in the unseen. Clara's breath deepened as she witnessed the sand begin to fall. Quiet, persistent, unstoppable. The grains carried more than time. They bore the hope of new beginnings sanctioned by patience. In that suspended moment, as the sand softly whispered its way downward, Clara sensed her own barriers dissolving. A gentle smile lifted the corners of Yolanda's mouth as she intoned, "There's much power in timing. Not every belief needs to be rewoven overnight." The notion sank deep into Clara's heart and into yours as well. For in the measured hush of that library chamber, the intimate marriage of patience and transformation became as tangible as the weight of sand, always in motion, always inviting release, and always, just beneath the hush, an invitation to start anew in your own unfolding tempo. As Clara wandered farther into the labyrinth of shelves, she noticed a narrow corridor lit only by the faint glow of phosphorescent stones embedded in the floor, casting aquamarine pools of light. Each step echoed, the sound vanishing into the velvet hush around her, intrigued by the subtle change in atmosphere, almost as if the air thickened with secrets. Clara pressed on, curiosity reignited with every heartbeat. The space grew colder, breath misting slightly, until she came upon a wooden door barely ajar, creaking gently with every stir of the air. In cautious anticipation, Clara nudged it open and stepped into a circular chamber quite unlike the others. What she found there captivated every sense. Around her, the walls shimmered with the dancing flicker of tiny flames, each enclosed within crystal vials suspended at varying heights by delicate silver wires. Their movements cast abstract designs upon the smooth stone, forming patterns that constantly shifted. Within the gentle blaze, unknown figures and distant landscapes appeared only for an instant, dissolving before the mind could quite grasp them. At the center of the room stood a low marble pedestal upon which an ornate mahogany music box rested, its lid carved with vines that curled into intricate knots. Approaching cautiously, Clara brushed the dust from the lid, revealing a single etched word: insight. Human presence made itself known in the form of an elderly man seated cross-legged nearby. Half hidden in shadows, his gaze fixed intently on the music box. He seemed as much a part of the chamber as the ancient stones themselves. In a voice that resonated with quiet authority, he welcomed Clara. "There are moments," he began, stroking his silver beard thoughtfully, "when it is not enough to shift what you believe or how quickly change finds you, but rather where you allow yourself to listen for guidance that comes from within, disguised as intuition." Gesturing to the music box, he invited Clara to wind it. As the first crystalline notes rang out, the vials overhead responded in a subtle choreography, their lights flaring in time with the melody. An intoxicating fragrance, the delicate sweetness of jasmine, drifted down, wrapping Clara in a new sort of comfort. She was taken aback by the feeling that the melody held a message, barely concealed within its undulating rhythm. The old man leaned closer, his eyes reflecting the shifting mosaics above. "Music," he explained, "bypasses the barriers of intellect and seeps directly into the soul. Sometimes the mind resists new beliefs, but a song or a scent can awaken dormant parts of you, sparking an insight you cannot explain." At his urging, Clara allowed herself to sink deep into the experience, shutting her eyes as the music's spellbound current carried her elsewhere. Images burst behind her eyelids, moments from childhood, times when she felt truly seen, even fleetingly safe, overlapped by visions of future possibilities. Unknown faces smiling, unexplored paths glowing with opportunity. These were not random. They felt carefully selected, like letters drawn from a deck, each one whispering, "You know more than you admit." The old man's words grew gentler but more persuasive. All too often, people hush their inner melodies, distrusting flashes of inspiration as foolish or unfounded. Yet, true guidance often flourishes in those quiet intervals when logic sleeps and deeper intelligence takes the stage. The music box spun on, and with it, the vials seemed to sway as if buffeted by a wind no one else could feel. Now the chamber felt almost alive, as if it pulsed with every secret thought Clara dared entertain. Noticing her absorption, the old man posed a question. "How many times have you suppressed an urge to pursue a new venture, brush off a lingering hope, or reach for more simply because instinct did not arrive with evidence?" Might it be, he wondered aloud, that these surges are the library's way of inviting you to expand the contours of what you believe possible, guided not by proof but by song? His voice shimmered with both gravity and playfulness, echoing the duality within Clara herself. Curiosity wrestling with caution, rising to her feet, Clara realized the chamber's magic lay not in giving answers, but in granting permission to trust the senses, to let intuition help assemble fresh meaning from memory and possibility alike. As the final notes faded, illuminated dust motes sparkled around her like embers caught in a gentle updraft. She felt their weightless encouragement, a soft chorus of permission to listen further inside, to allow the seeds of new beliefs to quicken in the warmth of wonder. With a final nod, the old man folded his hands and said, "Sometimes wisdom sounds less like a rule and more like a melody drifting beneath your thoughts." And with that, Clara departed, every step carrying the resonance of unspoken music and the secret confidence only true insight can bestow. As Clara continued along a spiral staircase carved from translucent stone, the steps themselves seemed to emit a faint, pulsing light, as if the very act of the scent awakened dormant energy in the ancient structure. Higher and higher she climbed, feeling the subtle tension between anticipation and trepidation. The faint susurrus of wind reached her ears, bearing the scent of cedar and distant rain, evidence that she was nearing an entirely different wing of the library, one perhaps less guided by human hands and more by the elemental forces that shaped the foundation of this mysterious bastion of knowledge. She emerged onto a platform open to the night sky, its border marked by a balustrade of twisted iron and flowering ivy. Here, the library's collection took a new form altogether. No shelves, no books, but instead a series of intricate mosaics arranged across the flagstones. Each tile shone with iridescent hues, catching the moonlight in kaleidoscopic bursts. Clara knelt, curiosity piqued by a sequence of patterns depicting rivers winding through mountain valleys, punctuated with images of bridges, a motif that seemed to suggest transitions and crossings. As she traced the cool ceramic with her fingertips, a sudden voice startled her from nearby. It belonged not to a resident scholar, but to a traveler wrapped in a woolen cloak, weathered by years on the road. His accent bore the slight lilt of distant lands, hinting at stories gathered far beyond these walls. "Do you see those rivers?" he inquired, crouching beside her and gesturing to the sweeping arcs. "They remind me that every belief has its tributaries, sources that feed not only from our upbringing but from chance encounters, unexpected detours, and serendipities we never anticipated. Sometimes we credit ourselves for the water's path, when truly, much was guided by rain falling quietly far upstream." Rather than anchor herself in the known, Clara felt compelled to probe this idea further. "So, you're saying we're shaped by currents we might never recognize?" she wondered aloud, her tone wavering between skepticism and awe. The traveler nodded, his gaze lingering on a cluster of tiles shaped like scattered leaves. "That's right. Occasionally, we spot a single fallen leaf and assume it was always part of our story. But if you widen your view, you begin to realize how many leaves the river has carried. Beliefs borrowed from strangers, wisdom gleaned in silence, even seeds of doubt planted during brief moments of vulnerability." This perspective shifted something in Clara, opening her to the possibility that personal transformation was not always a solitary act of will. Rather, it might involve a subtle dance with circumstance, with chance remarks at a crossroads or the gentle nudge of intuition on a moonlit evening. Now, reflect for a moment on those times in your own life when an unexpected encounter or fleeting experience gently redirected your convictions. Imagine how a single phrase overheard at the right moment, or a seen glimpse of the window of a passing train, can ripple through your sense of self and set new beliefs quietly in motion. The traveler paused, then offered a smooth, oval stone for Clara to hold. A token, he explained, from a riverbank where he had once found clarity after a long period of confusion. "If you listen closely," he said, "you'll feel the hum of movement inside." Nothing in life is ever truly static, not even long-held convictions. Streams may be diverted, but their essential flow remains. In the stillness, you can sense the way new beliefs seek out tiny cracks to settle in, reshaping your inner terrain with patience and persistence. Clara closed her eyes and focused on the stone's subtle warmth, realizing that embracing transformation often meant surrendering to more than just intention. It required openness to experiences beyond control, a willingness to be reshaped by forces both gentle and wild. For a brief moment, she lost herself in the sensation of interconnectedness, the awareness that every mosaic tile, every river, every chance meeting contributed to the ongoing renewal of what it meant to truly believe. Perched on the windswept balcony beneath the endless tapestry of stars, Clara felt a different kind of presence, a quiet undercurrent of expectation, as if the night itself harbored secrets for those alert enough to catch them. She lingered, stone resting in her palm, captivated by the way moonlight glazed the ivy leaves in liquid silver. Suddenly, a low, almost musical laugh broke her reverie. It came from the shadows, where an enigmatic figure leaned against the balustrade. His silhouette was sharp, outlined by the uneven glow of lanterns hung haphazardly along the rail. Rather than approaching directly, the stranger produced a slender, time-worn lantern and set it gently on the stone between them. "You notice," he began, his voice gentle yet edged with intrigue, "how most wanderers in this place collect objects, books, stones, trinkets. But what if, instead of storing away symbols, you could channel what you find into action right here, letting the energy of discovery ripple outward, not just inward? With practiced hands, he lifted the lantern, its flame flickering restlessly, as though eager to escape. He turned the device toward Clara, its light narrowing into a focused beam that illuminated a hidden portion of mosaic near her feet, one she hadn't noticed before. The tile depicted a labyrinth, not winding horizontally but spiraling upward like a coiled spring, ascending, each level distinct, suggesting that progress was not circular but transformative, and each revolution propelled the seeker closer to something that had, perhaps, remained out of reach below. As Clara studied the image, the stranger continued. Many mistake awakening for return, retracing old steps, wearing deeper grooves where certainty once walked. But true transformation harnesses that restless spark, propelling you into fresh terrain you might never have chosen consciously. The idea struck Clara with the force of revelation. Growth was not endless repetition. It demanded deliberate risk, a willingness to climb even as a familiar called her stay. Drawing inspiration from the lantern's dance, he deftly told a story of a childhood spent whittling whistles from willow branches found after heavy storms. Each attempt yielded a new sound, often off-key, but every misshapen instrument held the promise of future music. Sensing Clara's intrigue, he posed a pointed question that peeled beneath the surface of comfort. In your own life, when did you last pursue a spark of interest without first weighing its value by old logic? Did you catch yourself pausing at the edge of a new endeavor, fearing the hollowness of wasted effort? Or did you fashion something raw and real from uncertainty, willing to see what note it would play? His anecdote was not about instant mastery, but embracing the apprenticeship of novelty, abandoning the security of predictions for the wonder of emergent possibility. Meanwhile, the breeze picked up, swirling between them the faint scent of rain-soaked earth. Clara let her thoughts drift, remembering a moment when she found herself attempting a task outside her competence, driven purely by fascination. Instead of smooth progress, she'd encountered awkwardness, but realized in retrospect the emotional aliveness of authentic experimentation. Sometimes, she murmured, her voice laced with memory, I think we miss what's vital by shying from discomfort starting as a beginner again. The stranger's eyes shone approvingly, emboldening her. Precisely, he answered. If a belief stands between you and the first uncertain step, examine it. Not to discard outright, but to ask if it still belongs at your side now that you're climbing. In the midst of their exchange, a gentle bell rang out across the stones below, its resonance carrying the suggestion of a challenge met, or perhaps a sign that the night was gently nudging both of them toward new questions. For Clara, the upward labyrinth on mosaic seemed less a puzzle and more a promise. Each ascent, fueled by curiosity and the courage to act, redefined not only where she was but who she might become, carrying the night's lantern ever higher toward unknown heights. Drifting from the mosaic terrace, Clara found herself winding down a narrow stairwell that twisted toward the library's heart. The sound of the upper chambers receded, replaced by a soft, pervasive resonance, less a noise and a subtle pressure in the air, like a thought waiting to take shape. At the bottom, she emerged into an arched corridor lined with alcoves, each bathed in distinctively colored light. Crimson, sapphire, ochre, and emerald, each glow inviting inspection yet withholding meaning. She paused before the first, her curiosity heightened by a strong violet hue that pulsed gently, as if beckoning her closer. Inside this alcove stood a tall, slender woman surrounded by an array of glass jars containing swirling mists. Her features were sharp, eyes quick in assessing, and she greeted Clara with a nod that conveyed both invitation and expectation. Often, we imagine transformation as simply replacing one thought for another, but sometimes the most profound shift comes from blending disparate experiences into something entirely new, she began, her hands gesturing deftly over the jars. Each mist here contains a memory volunteered by visitors, some bitter, others beautifully sweet. The art is not in extraction, but in the careful mixing. Just as perfumes are crafted from contrasts, so too can beliefs evolve from contradiction. Rather than passively observing, Clara stepped forward, compelled to examine several jars. In one, a warm, golden swirl evoked a sensation of safety, likely linked to a childhood refuge. The next, a dark, stormy vortex, pulse with forgotten embarrassments and regrets. Yet within a jar of rose-colored mist, she glimpsed a fleeting image of possibility. Herself on the cusp of decision, neither bold nor tentative, but poised. The woman, who introduced herself as Samira, guided Clara to uncork the rose mist, releasing a faint yet unmistakably hopeful aroma. The mingling fragrances quickly filled the alcove, creating a surprisingly harmonious undertone, rich and layered. The past isn't something to banish. It's fertile ground for synthesis, Samira explained, moving seamlessly between English and the language of gesture. By fusing lessons from unlikely sources, you awaken resilience that moves beyond fragile optimism. Clara considered this perspective, realizing she had long compartmentalized certain memories, cherishing the joyful ones, shunning what made her shudder. Now, standing amid those swirling scents, she asked herself, do I dare let the bitterness mingle with the sweetness, trusting that an unforeseen strength or nuance might emerge? She looked at the audience with a sense of candor. How often in your life have you tried to force clarity by controlling which memories deserve influence? Have you discounted the wisdom born from mistakes, discarding pieces of your own puzzle out of discomfort? The invitation within this chamber was subtle yet radical, to distill something empowering not by exclusion, but by unique combination. Further, as Samira tilted a jar, a thin ribbon of smoke curled upward and wove around Clara's wrist, cool and tingling. Our greatest shifts, Samira whispered, come from the courage to integrate the unlikeliest elements of our past, those we'd rather leave sealed. By letting these coexist, you grant yourself layers of understanding that pure positivity or relentless critique alone could never provide. Indeed, Clara felt a quiet courage blossoming within, realizing that strength sharpened by contrast is strength that endures. Guided by this insight, she reached for a jar that vibrated gently, as if something inside longed to join the swirling symphony. As soon as she unsealed it, a rush of autumn air swept the alcove, filling it with the scent of turning leaves and distant thunder. Samira smiled, affirming the moment. That's the perfume of thresholds, change marked not by eliminating the old, but by allowing transformation to occur through courageous blending. Clara felt for the first time that embracing all shades of herself could be not just an act of defiance, but of liberation, a release that shapes belief not as a replacement, but as a revelation born of unlikely harmony. With every inhale, the idea grew clearer. Wholeness isn't sterilized. It's completed to a full orchestration of one's lived symphony. Reflecting on this journey so far, imagine yourself lingering in the library's hushed corridors, the strange sense of distant alcoves still on your clothes, your hands faintly dusted with the memory of ancient books. You walk, now more slowly, aware that each step seems to carry subtle ripples forward, as if the ground beneath your feet recalls everywhere you've already wandered. The air is laden with possibility, tinged with the elusive charge that permeates a landscape just before dawn, a moment where everything feels braced for something just out of reach, not an end but quiet awakening, tender and profound. The shadows shift overhead, no longer threatening or monolithic, but braided with filaments of color gathered from every chamber you traversed. Soft golden light seeps through a high window, pooling into luminous puddles along your path. There's no longer any rush. Instead, an unhurried clarity blooms, and you grow attuned to the faint pulse of the library's heart, a steady thrum, ancient and inclusive, mirroring the rhythmic assurance of breath itself. With each inhalation, you sense more fully the gentle mingling of divergence, tension dissolving not through silence, but through subtle harmonies, as if the architecture of this place is built on the delicate balance between expectation and surprise. Unseen doors respond to the presence of the open mind, and though you catch neither footsteps nor voices, there is an unmistakable sense that you share space with countless other wanderers, everyone negotiating their own private dialogue between safety and unexplored hope. You glimpse, fleetingly, a figure pausing at a window, gazing out at a horizon that seems to shift and flex in the moonlight, hinting at uncharted fields beyond familiar territory. You notice, too, how easily ordinary boundaries are blurred in this cloister haven, where memory is no longer shackled to regret, and possibility gleams when invitation no longer muted by old certainties. There's a certain resonance, like the hidden overtone of a well-struck chime, in the realization that the stories you encounter, be they inked in centuries-old volumes or awakened by a fleeting fragrance, are open adaptation, renewal, and reimagining. The echoes that once circled these stone walls now serve as a gentle synchrony, nudging you to move in step with their rhythm. In the subtle convergence, the library transforms in a way a weaving loom turns disparate threads into a single vital fabric. The ordinary becomes remarkable. Questions once left suspended now trace delicate lines from ceiling to floor, coloring even the plainest shelf with a gentle undercurrent of anticipation. Outside, the first blush of sunrise is beginning to pale the indigo sky, the faint suggestion of morning working its way deeper into the heart of this nocturnal landscape. There's serenity in the shifting light, a quiet promise, woven not from explicit answers, but from a newfound capacity to hold uncertainty and hope together, neither one suffocating the other. This sanctuary exists not by chance, but by the quiet bravery of those who enter its doors, by the willingness to linger at the boundaries of known, to court both ambiguity and expansion, to become receptive not only to what is easily understood, but also to what stirs at the edges of comprehension. The story, like breath, continues. Each inhale drawing more than you expected, each exhale relinquishing a little more rigidity. Lingering here now, you hold something intangible yet unmistakably weighty, as if the gravity of the night itself has granted you a slow, careful freedom, one that does not insist on resolution, yet draws you forward into an unfolding sense of possibility. The corridor ahead shimmers, neither dark nor light, but saturated with the tease of final revelation, as if the library itself is preparing to lay bare some gentle yet powerful secret. With every measured step, your anticipation grows, harmonizing with a hush of expectancy that quickens beneath your ribs, as you near the threshold of a story still being written just for you. The dawn unfurls softly beyond the stained glass windows, washing the library's ancient stones in hues of gold and rose. The fevered curiosity and gentle unease that had animated the night slowly gave way to a new, quieter energy, one that seemed to pulse at the core of every book, every corridor, every fragment of story and memory Clara had gathered on her journey. She wandered, almost unthinking, towards a central dome, footsteps quiet against polished marble. The vault above caught the morning's light, scattering it in intricate patterns across the reading tables and the faces of statues carved long ago who had watched countless sunrises in silence. The entire library seemed to breathe in time with the day's awakening, its lifeblood humming through shelves and shadows alike. Pausing in a sunbeam that struck the heart of the chamber, Clara became acutely aware of an internal shift, an orchestration of subtle changes she wouldn't have named at the night's beginning, where before uncertainty had tugged uneasily at her thoughts. Now a sense of vast possibility opened with every breath. There was no single moment of revelation, no grand flourish of trumpet or thunder, but rather the quiet understanding that belief is neither a chain nor a shield. It is seed and soil, water and sunlight, all at once. She remembered the words whispered to her in alcoves and on moonlit terraces, the wisdom woven through hourglasses, stones, music boxes, and drifting mists, and saw them not as isolated images, but as roots growing together in a living tapestry beneath her feet. A gentle voice echoed from somewhere just beyond sight, a fragment of memory, or perhaps the library itself welcoming her transformation. Every night you return here, you rewrite the contract you've made with certainty. You grant yourself a truer freedom. The freedom not only to outgrow what no longer serves, but a welcome in what may yet shape you when courage finds the quietest corners. Clara closed her eyes and smiled, sensing the truth in these words. It wasn't about erasing old volumes or denying the past, but about tending the shelves with care, daring to swap out stories laced with fear for those gilded with the possibility of abundance, expansion, and serene security. The sunlight, now rising in full, shimmered across the gathered volumes, illuminating their spines in a quiet benediction. Clara knew with certainty that this metamorphosis did not demand battles or declarations. Instead, it worked its quiet, persistent magic in the liminal hour between night and morning, where intention and willingness meet, and a single listening heart is all that's required for change to take root. Each time she or you would return to this place, the act of gentle attention, of acknowledging which beliefs serve you and which long to be released, would invite the library silent keeper to exchange dog-eared volumes of doubt for new books brimming with trust, courage, calm, and hope. As she lingered one last moment beneath the dome, Clara found herself drawn to a window. Beyond it lay the world in all its unpredictability, and yet she felt ready to greet the day not with rigid affirmation, but with a supple certainty, a sense that what had grown quietly in the soil of her mind overnight would follow her into daylight, quietly shaping her perceptions as naturally as a heartbeat. Her story, like yours, remained unfinished, a living text, pages open suggestion and renewal. The magnetism of her deeper mind, awakened and exponentially gentle, would continue its quiet work long after her conscious thoughts dissolve into dreams and at last into morning's clear light. So as you drift from this story toward your own rest or your own daybreak, take with you the subtle confidence that you, too, are both the librarian and the dreamer of your library. Let every night become an invitation, a chance to softly trade beliefs that confine for those that liberate, to trust the mysterious wisdom working even as you sleep. For it is in this humble openness, this willingness to nurture new seeds, even in the silent, unseen hours, that the true strength of auto-suggestion blooms. A resilient, magnetic force drawing abundance, ease, and expansion quietly and irresistibly into the center of your waking life.